Kunjabihari. Gopi Jana Baba Girivardhari. Yasoranandana Braja Jana Rajana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Kunja Bihari, Radha Kunja Bihari, Hari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jagana, Jai Jagana, Jai Bhavaji Mai Subhadra. Jaya Śrīla Prabhupāda, Jaya Prabhupāda, Jaya Śrīla Prabhupāda, Jaya Giri Govardhana. Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyā, Pastor Satyashishimar, the Divine Grace, founder of ISKCON, Abhay Charanarvanda Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, their most merciful Lordship Shri Śrīla Kunja Bihari Ki, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki, Shri Nathaji, Shri Balagopal Ki, Shri Shivanitai Ki, Nitai Go Prema. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text 11. Text 11. Yo no Jugopa Vana Etya Duranta Kṛṣṇa Yo no Jugopa Vana Etya Duranta Kṛṣṇa Durvāsā Rachita Ayutagra Bhog Ya Durvāsā Rachita Labhutagra Bhugya
Durvāsā Chitāda Yutagra Bhugya
Sakana Sistam Upayujya Yatas Tri Lokim Sakana Sistam Upayujya Yatas Tri Lokim
Sakana Sistam Upayujya Yatas Tri Lokim
Triptam Amamsta Salile Vinimagna Sangha Triptam Amamsta Salile Vinimagna Sangha Yono Jupavana Tyaduranta Kṛṣṇa Yo no Jugo Pavana Etya Duranta Kṛṣṇa Durvāsā Sori Rachitaratya Gara Bhugaya Durvāsā Sori Rachitaratya Gara Bhugaya Sakana Sistam Upayujya Yatas Trilokim
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 Triptam Amamsta Salile Vinimagna Sangha Triptam Amamasta Salile Vinimagna Sangha Please chant.
Yo no Jugo Pavana Etya Duranta Kṛṣṇa
Yo no Jugo Pavana Etya Duranta Kṛṣṇa
Durvāsā Sori Rachitara Yutagra Bhugya Sakana Sistam Upayujya Yatas Trilokim
Sakana Sistam Upayujya Yatas Trilokim Triptam Amamsta Salile Vinimagna Sangha Yo no Jugo Pavana Etya Duranta Kṛṣṇa Durvāsā Sori Rachitara Yutagra Bhugya Sakana Sistam Upayujya Yatas Trilokim Triptam Amamsta Salile Vinimagna Sangha Ya one who Na us
us.
Jugopa
Jugopa
gave protection.
gave protection.
Vane,
Vane,
forest.
forest.
Etya,
Etya,
getting in.
getting in.
Duranta,
Duranta,
dangerously.
dangerously.
Kṛṣṇa,
Kṛṣṇa,
trouble.
trouble.
Durvāsā
Durvāsā
of Durvāsā Muni.
of Durvāsā Muni.
Ari,
Ari,
enemy.
enemy.
Rachitat,
Rachitat,
fabricated by.
fabricated.
Ayuta,
Ayuta,
10,000.
10,000.
Agrabuk,
Agrabu,
one who eats before.
one who eats before.
Ya,
Yeah,
that person.
that person.
Sakana system,
Sakana system,
remnants of foodstuff.
remnants of wisdom.
Upayujya,
Upayujya,
having accepted.
having accepted.
Yata,
Yataha,
because.
because.
Trilokiam,
Trilokim,
all the three worlds.
all the three worlds.
Triptam,
Triptam,
satisfied.
satisfied.
Amamsta,
Amongst the
thought within the mind.
thought within the mind.
Salile,
Cellular,
while in the water.
while in the water.
Vinimagna, Sangha,
Vinimagna Sangaha,
all merged into the water.
all merged into the water.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Acharanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda. During our exile, Durvāsā Muni, who eats with his 10,000 disciples, intrigued with our enemies to put us in dangerous trouble. At that time, he, Lord Kṛṣṇa, simply by accepting the remnants of food, saved us. By his accepting food, thus, the assembly of Munis, while bathing in the river, felt sumptuously fed, and all the three worlds were also satisfied. Please repeat. During our exile, Durvāsā Muni, who eats with his 10,000 disciples, intrigued with our enemies to put us in dangerous trouble. At that time, he, Lord Kṛṣṇa, simply by accepting the remnants of food, saved us. By his accepting food, thus, the assembly of Munis, while bathing in the river, felt sumptuously fed, and all the three worlds were also satisfied. During our exile, Durvāsā Muni, who eats with his 10,000 disciples, intrigued with our enemies to put us in dangerous trouble. At that time, he, Lord Kṛṣṇa, simply by accepting the remnants of food, saved us. By his accepting food, thus, the assembly of Munis, while bathing in the river, felt sumptuously fed, and all the three worlds were also satisfied. Purport. Durvāsā Muni, a powerful mystic, Brahmin, determined to observe the principles of religion, great vows, and under strict austerities. His name is associated with many historical events. And it appears that the great mystic could be both easily satisfied and easily annoyed, like Lord Shiva. When he was satisfied, he could do tremendous good to the servitor. But if he was dissatisfied, he could bring about the greatest calamity. Kumari Kunti, at her father's house, used to minister all kinds of services to all great Brahmins. And being satisfied with her good reception, Durvāsā Muni benedicted her with the power to call any demigod she desired. It is understood that he was a plenary incarnation of Lord Shiva, and thus he could be either easily satisfied or annoyed. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, and by Lord Shiva's order, he accepted the priesthood of King Swetaketu because he used to visit the parliamentary assembly of the heavenly kingdom of Indradev. He could travel in space by his great mystic powers, and it is understood that he traveled in a great distance through space, even up to the Vaikuntha planets, beyond material space. He traveled all these long distances within 1 year during his quarrel with King Ambarish, the great devotee and emperor of the world. He had about 10,000 disciples, and wherever he visited and became a guest of the great Kshatriya kings, he used to be accompanied by a number of followers. Once he visited the house of Duryodhana, the enemy cousin of Maharaj Yudhisthira, and Duryodhana was intelligent enough to satisfy the Brahmin by all means. And the great Rishi wanted to give some benediction to Duryodhana. Duryodhana knew his mystic powers, and he knew also that the mystic Brahmin, if dissatisfied, could cause some havoc. And thus, he designed to engage the Brahmin to show his wrath upon his enemy cousins, the Pāṇḍavas. When the Rishi wanted to award some benediction to Duryodhana, the latter wished that he should visit the house of Maharaj Yudhisthira, who was the eldest and chief among all his cousins. But by his request, he would go to him after he had finished his meal with his queen, Draupadī. Duryodhana knew that after Draupadi's dinner, it would be impossible for Maharaj Yudhisthira to receive such a large number of Brahmin guests, and thus the Rishi would be annoyed and would create some trouble for his cousin, Maharaj Yudhisthira. That was the plan of Duryodhana. Durvāsā Muni agreed to this proposal, and he approached the king in exile, according to the plan of Duryodhana, after the king, Draupadī, had finished their meals. On his arrival at the door of Maharaj Yudhisthira, he was at once well received, and the king requested him to finish his noontime religious rites in the river, for by that time the foodstuff would be prepared. Durvāsā Muni, along with his large number of disciples, went to take a bath in the river, and Maharaj Yudhisthira was in great anxiety about the guests. As long as Draupadī had not taken her meals, food could be served to any number of guests. But the Rishi, by the plan of Duryodhana, reached there after Draupadī had finished her meals. On his arrival at the door of Maharaj Yudhisthira, he was at once well received, and the king requested him to finish his noontime religious rites in the river, for by that time the foodstuff would be prepared. Durvāsā Muni, along with his large number of disciples, went to take a bath in the river, and Maharaj Yudhisthira was in great anxiety about the guests. As long as Draupadī had not taken her meals, food could be served to any number of guests. But the Rishi, by the plan of Duryodhana, reached there after Draupadī had finished her meals. When the devotees are put into difficulty, they have an opportunity to recollect the Lord with rapt attention. Recollect the Lord with rapt attention. So Draupadī was thinking of Lord Kṛṣṇa. In that dangerous position, and the all-pervading Lord could at once know the dangerous position of his devotees. He therefore came there on the scene, and asked Draupadi to give whatever food she might have in her stock. On her being so requested by the Lord, Draupadi was sorrowful because the Supreme Lord asked her for some food and she was unable to supply it at that time. She said to the Lord that the mysterious dish which she had received from the sun god could supply any amount of food if she herself had not eaten. But on that day she had already taken her meals, and thus they were in danger. By expressing her difficulty, she began to cry before the Lord, as only a woman would do in such a position. The Lord, however, asked Draupadi to bring up the cooking pots to see if there was any particle of foodstuff left. And on Draupadi's doing so, the Lord found some particle, a vegetable, sticking to the pot. The Lord at once picked it up and ate it. After doing so, the Lord asked Draupadi to call for her guests, the company of Durvāsā. Bhima was sent to call them from the river. Bhima said, "Why are you delaying, sirs? Come on, the food is ready for you." But the Brahmins, because of Lord Krishna's accepting a little particle of food, felt sumptuously fed, even while they were in the water. They thought that since Maharaj Yudhishthira must have prepared many valuable dishes for them, and since they were not hungry and could not eat, the king would feel very sorry, so it was better not to go there. Thus, they decided to go away. This incident proves that the Lord is the greatest mystic, and therefore he's known as Yogeshwar. Another instruction is that every householder must offer food to the Lord, and the result will be that everyone, even a company of guests numbering 10,000, will be satisfied because of the Lord's being satisfied. That is the way of devotional service. Om Jnanatamrasya Jnanandina Shalakaya Chakshusumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I don't know how many times I've cooked in the kitchen. I told Tirthapada, and he agrees it happens to him as well. You're cooking and you're hungry. You know, even cooking. You get done cooking and after it's offered to Krishna, you're not hungry anymore. It's just amazing. And see, it's the act that Krishna accepts that gives the devotee the satisfaction which we normally look to be satisfied with as a form of food. See, the mantra is like that also. Because before we sit down and start meditating, we may be in a state of anxiety. We may be just anxious about something going to happen during the day. Then you start chanting, and then all that goes away, and your mind starts concentrating on the sound of Krishna's name and the power of Krishna to remove us from the effects of the material energy. I was meditating earlier this morning on how our chanting of the Maha Mantra is itself a request. We're asking Krishna if he would kindly engage us in his spiritual energy. But while simultaneously it is a prayer to engage us in the energy of Krishna's own energy, it is itself the answer of the prayer, because it is itself devotional service and an act which the soul, by engaging in, is engaging in that devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So It is itself the request and the solution and the offering of the fulfillment of the request as well. Unique. I don't know anything else that has that nature, that just by simply asking, it is the fulfillment of the request. This chanting, because this chanting is the Dharma for the age. And Kṛṣṇa has said in his Shikshastikam that he has empowered the chanting of these holy names with all of his spiritual potencies. So when we are taking food, we are in our minds, not necessarily every time we eat, but we are thinking to be replenished with energy that we need, because these bodies have need for substance from this world in order to perform their functions. But see, when the spiritual aspect of the soul is engaging itself in the activity, in the eternal act that its purpose is here for, then it becomes satisfied. And that is the natural state of the soul. The soul, as Śrīla Prabhupāda has explained before, anything the soul desires in the spiritual world is there available for it. But it doesn't have any need, doesn't have any wants or desires. Everything is already fulfilled. And so this is what Kṛṣṇa consciousness also is giving us the opportunity to experience in our lives, with the satisfaction we will find by taking part in activities. At first, if we find ourselves coming to visit at the Sunday feast once a week, we come on Sunday, we can offer to help cut up vegetables, cut up fruits, prepare the meal, like that. In this way, we get a little taste here and there. And after coming Sunday after Sunday, we get a bigger taste. We want to do more, We can come during the week, maybe offer some cleanup service or help with the cooking again. We have cooking going on all the time, helping with yard work. All these seemingly menial tasks that take on very little significance in the material realm, that in Kṛṣṇa consciousness gives the soul an opportunity to engage in that activity which is directly related to attracting souls to Kṛṣṇa and bringing souls to the knowledge. Śrīla Prabhupāda originally established an inspiring devotees to distribute books, that these temples would be built upon the loving devotion of those who were being reached out to by the devotees for donations. And that which was given as a donation, as an appreciation for that which is going to liberate the whole planet, then that was, in Śrīla Prabhupāda's mind, the highest means of establishing temples. This book distribution he established in devotees' minds and his disciples' minds as being the most important, more important than deity worship, more important than chanting in the temple, is the distribution of this knowledge of Bhagavatam and distribution of Bhagavad Gita. So in our efforts to be engaged in Krishna's service, which is what our prayer is when we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. If we see distribution of books as that which is highest in the mind of Śrīla Prabhupāda, we can actually appreciate that in our hearts, that if we can make an endeavor somehow through our day every day. If we can just get one book out a day, maybe we have to start one book a week or one book a month even. But just to begin a habit of wanting to design our conversations with people in such a way that we have as an end of giving them Kṛṣṇa in some form or other. And in the most practical form that is in the general public would be a book. And if they can give and contribute by appreciation, but that won't come without preaching. And this is how the devotee develops this aptitude for preaching and this aptitude for the desire to be able to communicate more perfectly with the general public, and then automatically by taking part in it. Just like a salesperson, some of them develop the knack of communication with other people as just a nature that naturally takes part in their job of selling things, because they've got to persuade someone that this particular product they're selling is superior to all the others that are on the market. But in so doing, they develop communicative abilities that are valuable in every other aspect of life. And so it's a maturing that takes place with communication that extends into devotees' relationships with one another as well. Because while the devotee is seeking to find and become sensitive to the person that they're preaching to, then this developed aspect of their personality, when they come home, then they feel the same way towards devotees. They want to do everything they can to make the devotees have happiness about being Krishna conscious, about sharing the aspects of Krishna consciousness we have together with each other, taking prasadam, chanting Krishna's name, singing, dancing in the streets, and then sharing with one another our experiences, because this is really the food that the soul gets that makes it satisfied. Because see, the soul feeds off of what it is. And what are we? We're Satchidananda. We're eternal. But we're knowledge. And that knowledge that we are is the substance of the truth that we are a part of Kṛṣṇa as. So that truth, the substance that we are made of, is itself truth. And so as we share the truth about Kṛṣṇa with one another, then we feed what we are. We feed ourselves with that which we really are. And that brings real meaning to the statement made by Christ. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God, was his statement. We take those words that have proceeded not only out of the mouth of Kṛṣṇa, but out of the mouth of his devotees as well. And Kṛṣṇa takes great pleasure in seeing his devotees exalted, more so even than he takes pleasure in his own exaltation and praise. Similarly, offenses committed at Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet are not looked at by Kṛṣṇa as seriously as he looks at those offenses committed against his devotees. We see in the case Ambarish Maharaj, I think it was Durvāsā Muni. Durvāsā Muni was trying to catch Ambarish at a time when he was waiting for Durvāsā Muni to return from bathing, and it was time to break fast. So he didn't want to take prasadam before Durvāsā Muni came back, and he was waiting patiently, but the time was moving so that it would be too late for him to break the fast. So with reasoning amongst the devotees that he had access to there for association, they came to the conclusion that taking water is not actually breaking a fast, while simultaneously it is actually breaking a fast. So he took water. And Durvāsā Muni then took offense at that. And it was by his taking the offense that caused him to want to put a curse on Ambarish Maharaj, which came back on him. What he did, he plucked a bunch of hair out of his head, and he stated a curse that this demon would come into existence. And when the demon appeared, Ambarish Maharaj was just in total peace, no problem whatsoever. But when Kṛṣṇa came to find out that he had committed this act of creating a demon to bring harm to his beloved devotee, then Kṛṣṇa sent his chakra. Then Durvāsā Muni had to run from Krishna's chakra. And when he came to Kṛṣṇa to ask Kṛṣṇa for relief from his chakra, Kṛṣṇa said, no, you have to go to Ambarish. So see, Kṛṣṇa takes offenses of against his devotees very seriously. And people can't just pray to God, oh, forgive me for what I've done to one of your devotees. You have to go to the devotee and plead, please forgive me my offenses. And this is Vaishnava etiquette. And this is how the world, by adopting these etiquettes and principles to our own lives, then our false egos are broken, and then we work in union with one another so much more efficiently than we're arguing with, I want my way, no, I want my way, it should be done this way, no. But in Krishna consciousness, there's such an agreement, because everything's laid out before us. The foundation has been laid. At the time the world was brought into existence, this process of Krishna consciousness has been in existence forever and ever, always has been. And now Krishna is giving us the ability to return to that status of consciousness that we once had. We once had when we were in the spiritual realm. And now he is promising, because now he has made available to us access to this darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Radha and Krishna combined in the same body. And by that now, because the offense we have committed requires such powerful spiritual I could say, entreatment by Krishna himself to free us from that force that we've given ourselves, surrendered to, the material energy, by coming into this material world to try and find a means of pleasure separate from Krishna. You look so much like Ananda Maharaj. If I took a photo of you right here and put the photo next to Ananda Maharaj's picture, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two.
Not my fault.
He is a very exalted devotee and has written 11th and 12th cantos. And you know him?
Yes, I met him.
Wow. Yes, he's a very exalted soul. See, I was longing to take initiation from him after I had committed myself to Bhavananda, but I had heard his lectures. He's such an excellent preacher. He makes people laugh almost with every statement he's making, because he was revealing the nature of the soul. The soul in its original state is of such nature that the word used to describe its state of being, its normal state of being, is bliss, ecstatic bliss. And so now this separate place of existence that exists, apart from that where there is only bliss. Now we have come to try and find something that we lost in leaving home. And we're not going to find it until we become connected with Kṛṣṇa again. And Kṛṣṇa returns us to that state of consciousness where we can become free again and experience life the way it's supposed to be experienced without our own desires getting in the way, so to speak. And when our desires are put aside, then greater than what our own desires could have manufactured with our own minds will be our experience, because Kṛṣṇa has in store for us that which we have not yet learned that he has waiting for us by the continuance of our application of his teaching. The further we continue on this path, the greater will be our experience with Kṛṣṇa as we continue. Kṛṣṇa is wanting to encourage us and is opened his doors for us to enter into, to be able to experience the highest levels of consciousness human beings can experience. That's love. Kṛṣṇa's own love. Divine, supremely, in no other manifested form in all previous history that we have. This form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srimati Radharani and Kṛṣṇa in the self-same body, promising to us that if we become pure, putting aside all our own personal desires, serving Kṛṣṇa till the end of our days, we will have that experience of Radha and Kṛṣṇa also. This is revealed in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Sanatana Goswami is giving evidence in his own life as well, leaving with us these very precious treasures that one taking part in Kṛṣṇa consciousness will be able to appreciate the value of attending this morning service of Mangalarti. Sanatana Goswami gives evidence of how much value there is for us to gain and how much it is pleasing to Kṛṣṇa for us to take part in that. I see now in you developing these kirtans. Your kirtan is increasing day by day, getting more perfect and more excellent in your expression of your love. And I can see you're developing a love that is Kṛṣṇa's consciousness. That's what love is, consciousness of that which we are made of. We're made of the substance of God's own body, and that is love itself. We're made of it. So how we can be any other way? So what happens when we manifest other expressions from these physical bodies than what love is? And so this is all an error. That's what sin is. In the word used in Sanskrit, it's missing the mark only. Missing the mark. And once one comes to a stage of development, it's practically that all sin is on the same level. Almost all on the same level. Because it's all missing by simply, just like that wheel we were talking about the other day that Arjuna had to shoot through a reflection, right, in the water, which itself was moving. But see, if he had shot at any other moment, other than when he had shot, he would have missed just by that much. If he had missed by a hair, he would have hit one of the spokes, and it wouldn't have made the mark. So just missing by that much. So what would have been the difference if he missed by that much? If he missed by that much? If he missed by that much? See how sin, when we look at it from an objective perspective, not being ourselves immersed in it, we come to find how far off a little bit off is in the end. So, see, 1% today, every day 1% by even a year is 300% off. So we don't want to be even a little bit off. And that's why Kṛṣṇa spells out everything so clearly. And that's why you'll have devotees, when they see little tiny things wrong, then they make a big deal of it. Because now, from not making a big deal of the little things that have gone wrong, we are way off from what we were originally doing. Now, most of the income that comes into the temple, think about this. Remember my first point, how Śrīla Prabhupāda wanted temples established with the selling of books. Not the selling, but the giving in exchange for love. See, this labor that's being done by everybody in the world is also supposed to be acts of love. And the only way to transform it into that, because they're not acts of love. When you're working at a job, most people do not love what they're doing. And even if you do, what the job is producing for you and for your benefit, not an outcome of love that is the same as what Bhagavatam is manifesting for us to be able to extraordinarily gather the information contained in this knowledge to be able to completely remove us out of this universe. If we can grasp what we have been given in these teachings and the value of them and see. So, because those acts that they are engaged in their jobs are not acts of love, they can take the reward they get in exchange for the acts that they did take part in, and then by making that an act of love in exchange for truth, then all that they did, which was not an act of love, becomes sanctified by the result it produced, you see. So even it may be sinful activity, and see, it's only a little bit off the mark. They're doing the same kinds of deeds. They're cleaning floors, they're cleaning walls, they're taking bath, they're reading, they're studying, they're working hard, they're planting crops, they're harvesting. All these activities can be Kṛṣṇa conscious, but they're doing it for who? That's the problem. And it's only this far from us. Kṛṣṇa is right here. And where are we? We're right here too. So how far away are we from Kṛṣṇa if we're doing it for us? Rather, it's the same acts, same energy? No, it's not the same energy. It determines by the effect that we have in the consciousness why we're doing what we're doing. Makes all the difference in the end result. And that will be the difference between Kṛṣṇa empowering us, empowering our lives, and freeing us from that which we would otherwise be deserving of. See, they're getting what they're deserving of. They want $100 a day, or $100 for this act, or $100. That's what they get. The devotee's not satisfied with that. See, they want heaven. The devotee's not satisfied with that either. But it's not because of his lack of satisfaction. It's just satisfaction with Kṛṣṇa and what Kṛṣṇa is revealing as valuable, right? How would we know what is valuable in the eyes of God unless God himself told us? And that's what Bhagavatam is. Gaining the knowledge in our own consciousness of what is valuable in God's mind. What is valuable to God? What does God consider valuable himself? And then coming to realize he is giving us the totality of us to experience with him in these human forms now. We have the ability, by recognizing every day the decisions we're making positively towards this process of promoting this consciousness of Kṛṣṇa consciousness that will lift everyone out of the troublesome lives they're living for themselves and give them the ability to see in the future something that great can be happening for all of humanity. And that's the message Bhagavatam has for us to take into the world and give to everyone. We've got a great future ahead of us to take and value the things that God values, the things that Kṛṣṇa values, and make them the most important things in our heart, in our mind. And then we will get what Kṛṣṇa says we will get, which is greater than anything we could coop up in our minds or invent. I'm going to cut it short for today. Any comments, any questions, any realizations you want to share?
No, we're saying He's where?
Left for Bhakti Sastri class.
You left for where?
Bhakti Sastri class.
You left
Bhakti
Sastri
class. So, Jai, all glory to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Srimad Bhagavatam. All glory to the assembled devotees.